Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura. Thank you again for joining us on another Monday night. I know that there's a big game happening for the city of Houston being played in San Antonio currently. They're still up. Looking at the score, it looks like it's about to be 35-30. So by the time that this podcast is over, we'll find out if the U of H Cougars was able to get that win in that championship. But I am not alone today. We do not have Joey Stats in the room. So, everybody that loves Joey Stats, I apologize. He's not here. Last week, the guy was buying himself a new ride. And this time, he's too busy with his music career. So, I mean, we can't really hate on him. He's out there trying to make his dreams come true. But we are joined by Christian Putelias. Brother, how you been?
Hey, how's it going? How's it going, everyone? How's it going, Rudy? Doing good, man. Red today. I heard today that we had to wear red. So the only red shirt that I have. So I was like, whatever, let's throw it on.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're here.
There you go. And also join, usually a guy that's always in the back, never seen, never heard sometimes, but always doing the work. Today we got to put him to work, but we got Edson Ochoa as well in the house. Brother, how you been?
Hey guys, how's it going? Doing pretty well. Actually glad I was proven wrong from last episode, but a huge shout out to Cougs Nation and best of luck tonight to everybody.
Yeah, and you survived the floods, man. Those McAllen floods a couple weeks ago, man. You survived them. We're glad you're here with us. But hey, before we get started, obviously we have a lot of Dynamo talk, and I should probably drink a little bit of water.
La Croix.
Mm-hmm. Sponsor us. Before I got started talking, but I do want to say, yeah, it's funny. I have a couple coworkers and people that I know, they listen to the show and they're like, man, we're here, we listen, we love supporting, but I have no clue. Like I'm not a soccer fan. Like eventually they'll listen for the first, maybe 15 minutes, since sometimes we'll talk non-soccer stuff. And then they'll turn it off, and you know what? That's better than what my mom listens to at times, huh? But I do want to take obviously two things that I want to touch on, and if you guys feel like you guys want to add anything to I may say, feel free. But I do want to mention that obviously you guys know that we lost our friend Billy Mears, and yesterday was his birthday, his first heavenly birthday, so. Obviously, thoughts and prayers to his family. I'm sure it was still like, not something fun to go through, trying to celebrate somebody that is not here anymore. And then just, going through life, you start seeing what life is, right? Whether it be people dealing with illnesses, sickness, all kinds of stuff. And sometimes it's important that we do acknowledge that, because at the end of the day, we cover a sport that takes a lot of that away from us in that sense. I know, Chris, you and me probably think the same way, Edson, as well, right? Sometimes we take that, but in reality, life is here, right? And we go through stuff like that. And I just wanted to, take a little bit of time and let, apart from you guys, Edson and Chris, tell for the listeners to know as well, whatever you're facing right now, don't worry that you're alone. You're definitely not alone. Life does get heavy, and but there's strength in reaching out. So talk to someone, and you guys definitely matter. So feel free to reach out to us if that's something that you feel that you need to do, or reach out to your family, reach out to your friends. That's something that was kind of heavy in my heart today and yesterday with Billy and some other friends that are going through some serious life stuff that, again, it's there. It happens. And we hope ourselves maybe to not go through the rough patches of life, but eventually we will. And you need to, or we need to know that we do, or we can reach out to people. And that's kind of where I'll leave it. Chris, Edson, if you guys have anything else to share, not just purely what I mentioned, but feel free before we go into pure soccer talk, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, just talk about Billy for a second. I mean, guy was great. He was amazing. I remember some of the funniest conversations that we had in our chat came from Billy. Just with his jokes and he was always, the good thing about him that even though whatever happened, he was also very positive. He was always very positive when it came to the Dynamo. He believed in the Dynamo more than anybody in the group chat that we have, and he always like tried to look at the the glass half full when it came to the Houston Dynamo. So that's always something that I'm always gonna have from him, and also having personal conversations with him on the side. The dude, I remember, he was down to teach me, how to take how to take pictures, and even though he was our very first photographer for Bayou City Soccer, he knew that his skills wasn't the greatest, and he was learning himself. And I remember he was willing to kind of pass down all the information, all the knowledge that he had to the people that wanted to kind of maybe get better at it. He was always down. He was always down to help, always down to do stuff for the group and just be there. As much as he could. He lives in the Woodlands, and he would just drive downtown to get as much as. Sometimes he had to work the next day, so he would just go for like half a game, and we'd be like, "Billy, you're crazy. Stay home." And he would like, "No, I enjoy this. Let me just work half a game if I have to," and he would do that. So nothing but the best of memories from Billy. He was a great guy, and I hope he's doing good. Absolutely, I'm sure he is. Better than us, probably.
He probably is better than us at this point, man. Yeah. So again, that's just when it starts a little bit different. Sometimes we talk about just random stuff. Sometimes we go straight into soccer, and sometimes maybe feeling not necessarily serious, but again, just an understanding that we're here for each other. And at the end of the day, this is a community. And shout out to everybody that's already joined us and probably wants to talk and listen to every Dynamo related stuff. But man, that's what we're here for. And Edson, at least Tigres, did Tigres do anything good? Just finish it with that.
So they drew 0-0 against the second to the last team in Liga MX, and I kid you not, they did not generate a single opportunity on goal.
Oh man,
they have been the last 3 games against America, against LA Galaxy, and against Puebla. They have not generated. I think they only generated 1, and that was in the LA Galaxy game. Tomorrow they're playing against LA Galaxy at the Estadio Universitario in Monterrey. So hopefully it'll be better. But there was a lot of promise with Guido Pizarro as the head coach, but we're starting to see a lot of the style of play that was a characteristic of Tuca, but we're starting to see now the negative aspects of it, where they just can't generate. They don't generate they have a lot of possession, but they don't generate a lot of goals or a lot of opportunities.
On the other side of Monterrey, Rayados destroyed Chivas that weekend, so it wasn't fun for me. Granted, clearly wasn't fun for half of Monterrey at this point. But Daniel Mejia, I'm gonna reach out because I definitely need you to show up for our Movimiento Naranja episode on Thursday. So hopefully we can get Daniel Mejia to join us, the voice of the Houston Dynamo, alongside Cesar Procel, who he's having a lot of fun, man. Houston is up 42-30 right now in San Antonio, and I see he hasn't left. I went for a 4-day weekend at this rate over there. So
he's working.
He's working. His wife loves it. His wife loves it, man. But let's get into the Houston Dynamo news, guys, at this point. Who doesn't love slides? I think we missed slides a few times. So, you know what? Man, 10 minutes in, perfect time. And Chris, you want to tell the people how they can connect with us, brother?
Yeah, of course. Don't forget, guys, the website is BayouCitySoccer.net. You can go in there and check out everything that we are doing. We are literally putting out an article a day, sometimes 2. So go check out everything that the guys are writing, all the pictures and everything like that we're posting over there. You can go through and find our social medias as well on X, on Instagram, Facebook, also the YouTube channel. If you're watching, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can get notified whenever we do go live. You remember we go live 3 times a week now, so that's a lot of information that you don't want to miss. And yeah, just go over there, check everything that we have. Blue Sky as well, if you're one of the newer people into the newer social media stuff. But everything and anything will be in one place, which is BayouCitySoccer.net. Shout out also to Ugly Guppy for providing us with the greatest gear. I was wearing my polo last weekend or last Saturday when I went to the game, feeling fresh. Also, shout out to Elotes Bravos. They looked like they were on a coldish night. They were probably selling a lot of elotes there. And as well, shout out to We Got Soccer at WeGotSoccer.com, where you're going to find the best gear. And also, don't forget, if you are a Liga MX fan, they are the premier place to go get your Liga MX jerseys over there. I know we have a lot of those here in Houston.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can find yourself, any, I think, Liga MX jersey and your team. But also adding on We Got Soccer, we're going to get a gift card from them to give away. So stay tuned to our social medias. That'll be a social media giveaway. I believe it's going to be like $100 gift card to We Got Soccer. So if you want a jersey, if you need some
jersey, some cleats,
if you're Edson Ochoa and you're a goalkeeper and you need some new gloves, stuff like that.
I do need some.
There you go. Some compression socks, all the good stuff, man. Get yourself a soccer ball.
Have you guys worn that non-slip socks? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but they have the little dots everywhere type of thing. I haven't. I have worn like the compression, but not those specific, the grip ones.
Every time I go, I go play with like 50-year-old dudes, but they're all like putting on those socks. I'm like, bro, you can't even run. What are you gonna slip on yourself? Your other leg? But I'm tempted to like buy a pair just to see how they feel. I play in Sambas because we play kind of like turf 7v7 type thing. So I'm like, I wonder if these will help. I'm old school. Sometimes just a regular pair of socks. If I'm adventurous, I put 2 pairs of socks. But that's I haven't gotten crazy yet
about socks. Like I'm an old person now because I have like the ankle socks, and they say like young people, and I'm like, dude, young people, that's like old people wear long socks. That they start coming back. History always repeats itself. It seems.
It sure does.
It sure does. So now I feel like every now and then I do have like the compression socks, and I leave them kind of long, and my wife is like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, nobody else is gonna hate other than you, man.
I'm acting my age right now.
Exactly, man. But all right, man. Here we got Rushan and Sin here, Bayou City Soccer, and RC. I can't even spell yo. What's up? Yeah, man. So let's get into it.
That's a cool picture in RC.
It is a pretty cool picture, man. Hit him with the thing. All right, man. Finally, first victory for the Houston Dynamo this weekend. It works out, it was a rainy one. I kept seeing everybody post pictures. I mentioned I wasn't going to be there. We were celebrating my brother's birthday around that time, and I was like, it was at 5 p.m. that I met them, and I was like, it's raining. This game is probably not going to happen. Looking at the field, I know Aldo was there early, and then I saw like Glenn sent some pictures out there, and the people from MLS season pass were posting stuff, and I was like, dang, that looks pretty bad. But we know how great that field crew is, man. They were put to work. Christian, did you get to put your work boots out there and push some water out of them?
I volunteered. They didn't need me, thankfully, but they did a lot of work. When I got there, they were working on it. And they literally worked on it like until the last minute. Like some players were like warming up, and they got this machine out which was like compressing the floor, like compressing the ground to like take the water out. I don't know, some weird stuff,
some fancy stuff.
Yeah, it was really fancy. I've never seen a machine like that, and I was like, how does this even work? And then somebody was explaining to me how like it pushes the water. I don't know. But it drained out. I mean, it is funny because at halftime they were watering the field, and we were like, "Bro,
dude, that is like the funniest thing when they do that when it's raining. Like it's raining and they still have sprinklers going, and I know it's timed and stuff, but it's like
It was
guess.
hilarious. It was pretty funny.
But again, finally, a big win for the Dynamo. LAFC obviously came heavily rotated to start the game. Houston was a better team in the first half. They just couldn't really create chances that we're used to as of late from the team. As of late being a year and a half, as even Ben Olsen had mentioned, that they've just been struggling to create some opportunities. But you know what? It doesn't matter. You get magic. I mean, the whole play was pretty magical, to be honest. But from, Jack McGlynn has a beautiful left foot. I mentioned to you guys it was vintage Brad Davis, and he scores. So that's enough to get this victory for the team. But, yeah, obviously the lineup itself, we haven't seen the same lineup as, in recent weeks. It's been changing, whether it be Nico Loredo. In this case, McGlynn gets to play that role, playing out wide. That was basically the biggest change, apart from getting Sviatchenko back in the lineup, playing 90 minutes. Did he play 90 minutes? I think so, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
McGlynn,
and then with a double pivot between Arthur and Urso, kind of changing that dynamic. Basi Kobolchik still in there, and Ponce as well. But the defense, we kind of already know. And young kid, man, rookie Blake Gillingham still putting up some good saves out there, guys. And then here's the stats for the teams against LAFC. Obviously, Dynamo held most of the possession. I think in the first half it was close to like 70% Dynamo. And
I can tell you that right now. It was so in the first half by itself, 71%.
Yeah, it was crazy. When I saw that, I got home right at minute 44, and I was like trying to do the graphics. And I'm like, there's no way it was 71%. Like, what?
But here's the thing that I noticed from rewatching the game. It was that LAFC, I don't know if it's because of the rotation that they did or what, but I felt that they really missed out. I'm gonna sound like someone that's out to make the Dynamo lose, but anyway, but they really missed out on the fact that that back line, when you put pressure on them high up, they tend to lose the ball in transition. I think for the majority of the first half, LAFC, their first line of defense was in midfield. It's like, so they allowed for the defense to freely like pass the ball around like in their own half of the field. And then once they got into midfield, then they started to put in the pressure, right? So one of the things that I saw a lot of people say, like, oh, it's great that the Dynamo weren't able to, that did not concede an early goal this time again. Well, the thing about it is LAFC was very complacent with that. I don't know if they were trying to save gas or or that's just Cherundolo style. But there really wasn't a high pressure trying to look for those mistakes on the Dynamo back line. But the fact is that also because LAFC was also kind of constrained to their side of the field, it was also very difficult for the Dynamo to try to find some opportunities, and yet they still were good in passing wise, and they managed to find multiple times people inside the box, but it just wasn't very, very comfortable for them. So I think overall, like I said, LAFC. I guess it's one of those things where they didn't take advantage of one of the weaknesses for the Houston Dynamo, and I think that's a really good thing, for the Houston Dynamo. We talked last week about spaces, and we talked about last week about not being able to handle the Dynamo, not being able to handle being under pressure, and I think them not being as pressured as before, like because even when they were in LAFC's side of the field. The marking wasn't really that tight on the players like Jack McGlynn. I mean, you saw multiple times where he had space, to think, whether to take a shot or try to pass to somebody else. You even saw, I want to say it was Kowalczyk, dribbling inside as well and threading the needle trying to find McGlynn or trying to find Dorsey, who then in turn would find, Ezekiel Ponce inside the box. But the center backs for the most part for LAFC were doing well. I think one of them was Marlon and the other one was, I don't remember exactly. Segura, yes. Segura. So they did a good job for the most part.
Colombian cousin, as he. No, but you're right. They were playing the Dynamo in a way that not other teams tend to play them. Obviously, they were kind of not necessarily sitting back, but they were in more of a zone aspect, knowing that the Dynamo, in all honesty, are very slow, right? They really have nobody to counter, and they were given enough space and leeway. And in one of those, they got punished right in the second half.
Yeah.
Chris.
In LAFC's defense, I mean, when you look at the Dynamo, it's one of those teams that you're like, you can just let them have the ball. They're not going to do any damage. So I think that was their strategy, right? I mean, even Ben talked about how they were good in transition, and that's why the pair of Urso and Arthur was in the middle to kind of break that down a little bit. I mean, when you have Bonga, when you have Giroud, when you have players like that can flip the game on his head. I mean, Bonga is known for getting the ball in midfield and kind of dragging it all the way to the box, and just making something happen. Fortunately for the Dynamo, that wasn't the case, right? He was shut down. I mean, Bonga literally did not exist to like the last 5 minutes. That's when he became dangerous. And and Giroud was just not there. But I mean, and LAFC's defense in a way per se, you are going against a Dynamo that it's known for having the ball, but when it came to creating anything, I mean, we've been talking about it for 7 weeks now, right? Like they didn't create, they're not creating, they don't create. I don't think they were expecting the whole McGlynn having a little bit more freedom as he did this game, which gave the Dynamo a lot more opportunities. And like Edson was saying, not only gave opportunities for him to like have the ball and like move the ball around, but also attacking, try to get into the box or try to threat the needle and find Ponce. There was more action going on over there. And that was the change that happened there.
You know what I wish, kind of changing the subject a little, you know what I wish the MLS or even FOTMOP would have that the USL Championship website does have would be like the heat map. Mm-hmm. Because, and the reason I say this is because the lineup has Jack McGlynn out on the wing, but it always seemed, and even the announcers at various times during the broadcast mentioned that Jack McGlynn was playing more of the number 10 role.
Yeah, he kept tucked in. It was honestly vintage Coco Carrasquilla, basically what Ben asked of Coco Carrasquilla to, you play out wide, but you never saw him outrun anybody, And this is perfect for McGlynn because he's left-footed. He can come in, he can take a shot like he did, and it works out. I like some of the comments on here. Obviously, everybody's talking about De Bruyne. Bring De Bruyne, man. I mean, if you're gonna bring him in, if you're gonna bring De Bruyne in, we're gonna probably have to do a GoFundMe account. And heck, at this point, I don't think.
Well, not only that, but remember what they posted in the chat is that apparently Inter Miami has the discovery rights to Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah. So,
but kind of going back to the whole Jack McGlynn being as a 10. I mean, when whoever plays on the right side, quote unquote, on the right side, will have to tuck in either way because of Dorsey, right? I mean, there was times that Dorsey was on the same line as Ponce, and you're like, wait, is this guy a defender? It's funny because last week I think somebody asked, about Dorsey, about how high he was playing or if he could play any higher. I think somebody asked him about playing Dorsey as a right mid,
yes,
and he was like, bro, he literally like goes into the box.
He is a right mid. I think Ben basically said like we can't really put him as a 9. What do you want? Like he's really high. Like he's a right winger. I mean, this guy's everywhere, obviously. But it's the furthest.
But his priority is the right winger. Yes.
Yeah. So it's just funny.
So playing McGlynn on that, I mean, I think that decision of going with Urso Arthur and McGlynn in front of him was literally the change of everything. The Dynamo looked different. They had just taking the responsibility of McGlynn of defending, that just takes everything away. I mean, usually when McGlynn plays in that Urso, quote unquote position, you would see McGlynn go all the way to the box or all the way to the center back line to ask for the ball and kind of be able to, turn around and look for players or look for passes. When you have him now, he's so much closer to the box,
right,
that the guy, he just has to worry to actually either attack, not build up an attack, because by the time the ball gets to him, the attack has been built up or has progressed enough that he can just focus and moving forward,
right.
With possession or setting up for a shot. I mean, half of the time he touched the ball, he was already setting up for a shot. He was playing, kind of like a Messi position. People always say, they're like, what does Messi play? Like, does he play a winger? Does he play in the middle? We don't know. He just floats, right?
He can do whatever the hell he wants.
But if you look at, like when he played in Barcelona, he would start off, on the right side, but then he would drift in because he was a left footer. And that's what you need, right? Somebody that has the foot that McGlynn has. I mean, as we saw in the goal, you need him to kind of start off on the right and then just kind of tuck in and take shots. Because he can place it, open foot to the second post, with the laces into the first post, and he's smart like that to put the ball where he wants it to go.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, obviously, one thing that we've discussed multiple times, it's like, okay, from the players you had, you couldn't keep playing Kovalchik, Vasi, and Loredo. They're all basically the same, players. We're thinking about, okay, remove whoever's on the left wing, which is obviously in this case is Kovalchik, and bring in somebody like Ali who will stretch the field with the same amount of people you're playing. But now putting Urso in, who's, I mean, his in the games he's played, he's been really good, right?
Yeah.
And so he's obviously earning his minutes as 36, 37-year-old player. That it's, I mean, he's quality, right? I mean, he's still playing 90 minutes. He's fit enough to continue. So you're right. This could be what they're looking for. And at this point, once maybe Linger gets in, where is he going to go? He's going to have to butt out somebody. And at this point, it's probably going to be Kovalchik. Out of Basi and him. So it'd be interesting to see, especially if they continue to play Jack out wide. I mean, you can see him. He's not the fastest guy, but I mean, he's
nimble.
He's nimble and he has a good ball control. So that
he's smart. He's very his soccer IQ is very, very high.
And not only that. And not only that, but the fact that and we talked about this before, the fact that he is daring enough to shoot from outside the box.
Yes, 100%. Because you had nobody.
Yeah, let me play the clip. I have the clip. It's about a minute because there's a bunch of different angles. So get some popcorn, watch it.
A really brand new looking.
Oh, of course not. I can't watch it if I have the other thing on. I should be able to watch it.
A really brand new looking Houston Dynamo.
Nice little flick.
Very much involved in. Lovely back heel from Dorsey. McGlynn.
It's a nice ride.
McGlynn opening up, scores.
That was a great shot.
But
I mean, I think obviously we know he can shoot, but even him probably thought, man, please go in.
But I want you all to look at Ponce.
Yep.
This is really good work.
Once I give him that second, right there.
Yeah, to be able to kind of.
Yeah, that quick second where both of the defenders were like, okay, well, who do I follow? And that just quick, even fraction of a second, grants McGlynn the necessary space to look and shoot.
Yep.
Yeah, because the defender has to like turn his body around, and that movement of him turning the body around literally leaves him like
Giroud's face right here just cracked me up.
That's Lloris.
Lloris, sorry. What did I say?
Wrong Frenchman.
He also wasn't
wrong
very
bearded
well
Frenchman.
His face was.
You were saying, Chris?
No, he wasn't. He as a goalkeeper, he wasn't positioned. That's something that we were talking about in the press box with a couple of different people. That kind of we all kind of saw it. We all brought it up. He wasn't in a weird position. Like he was kind of like in the middle of the goal when he wasn't covering his first post type thing. I mean, the shot.
It has to do a lot of. Yeah, I was gonna say it really isn't the shot because I think there is where he's supposed to be thinking like, oh, if this guy left foot is probably gonna go to my right.
But that's the thing, and that's why it counts because he's so left-footed That's what I'm saying. Like if he wants to kind of open his foot up and put it second post and curl it around the goalkeeper, he has the quality to do it.
Right.
And that's when you kind of use those advantages as a as a striker, as a forward, as an attacker, to kind of confuse the goalkeeper, because and you give yourself as a striker more options. If you have a right footer, like there's not a lot of options for a person that kicks with their right. But if you're in a left footer, like literally the whole goal opens up for you, because you can literally place it, short to the first post, or kind of high to the second post, or just whatever. But yeah, that's good.
But not only that, Chris, but given the conditions of the field, he made if that was what he was thinking, he made the perfect choice. Shoot it low and hard, skimming through the field. With the wet field, it's going to be a lot harder. If it's already hard enough for a tall goalkeeper who to throw himself down to the ground quickly to catch that ball, with the additional speed of having of the low friction with the wet field, wet ball, it was almost going to be almost the way he was positioned. It was almost going to be impossible for Lloris to be able to get a touch on that ball. So overall, I mean, the whole play was amazing. Ponce did what he had to do to try to attract the whatchamacallit, the marking of the defenders. And it might not seem as much, like I said, but that fraction of a second of hesitation, like I said, granted McGlynn just enough space to be able to execute that shot.
Yeah, and obviously, even if Ponce was making that run, McGlynn, you talk about decision making, he was going to be late if he tried to hit it to Ponce, right? I mean, because Ponce at one point he was already broken that offside line. Yeah. But so it's either shoot, or that was pretty much it, because on the left side, the player was covered as well.
Plus, the angle of his run was going to make it almost impossible to get it over to him.
To get a good swing to that guy. So it's like at this point, we talked about the amount of shots taken from the team this season is not that great. And whenever you have something like that go from outside of the box and go in, I mean, I think, Chris, you were the one that asked him about, his goal and the celebration. And he said also, I think he mentioned, like, I just got to pray to God that ball went in. Because at the end of the day, you hit it, and even though you can place it, you're still trying to beat a world-class World Cup winner goalkeeper as well. So there's a lot of moving parts, and it was good to see him getting on the board, especially with not necessarily a ton of negativity around him,
but the doubts.
But some doubts, right? Obviously, people, of course. Chris Edson talking about, how can he step in for Hector Herrera? But when you play like this, and he had himself a very good game, you let people kind of know who you are at that point.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, though, right? Because, I mean, the idea is that he was going to replace Hector Herrera, but when you look at the qualities of playing, they're not really the same. Like, they're not similar, because Hector Herrera is more of a defensive player, want it or not.
Right.
And McGlynn is more of an attacking player. Like their quality, I guess what people or some people see as similar is just their passing abilities and their range when it comes to, being able to put a nice ball to the feet of your, partner teammate. But when you look at Hector wasn't, your number 10, or wasn't your, like, I don't know, your Riquelme type thing, he wasn't your attacker. The guy that was going to set up. I mean, here he had to, in a way, right?
Yeah.
That's why we had Carrasquilla.
Well, I was going to say this comment. It's like if you have McGlynn and Carrasquilla, technically you'll run into issues again. Kind of like when you had Coco and Hector playing the same position. Like you had to push somebody out.
And that's what we always said it about Coco. Coco was kind of playing out of position in a way too, because he should have been more central as well. If we would have been Artur, Herrera, and then Carrasquilla in front of him, like, this team would have been crazy. Because if you gave Coco the liberty of a number 10 of, like, okay, don't worry about defending, just worry about attacking,
right?
that could.
Yeah, it's like we have too much depth in the central midfielder because you have Bassi, you have had Carrasquilla, you had Hector Herrera, you have Artur. So it's like obviously the two more defensive minded or the ones that don't attack much would be Hector Herrera and Artur. But then you also had Carrasquilla and Bassi that also played. So you ended up putting Carrasquilla out wide and he looked side. He looked lost at times.
And he had to tuck in a lot, like you mentioned about McGlynn, obviously having to tuck in this specific game.
What I would like to know is, I mean, maybe is a question for Ben, right? How was the decision made of putting McGlynn in that position? Because I feel like they are so not enamored with their tactics, but Ben is so like about his like shape in a way that it seemed kind of weird to kind of break that shape, right? But sometimes like when different pieces come or different players come with different qualities, sometimes you just kind of have to break that mold to make, you know, the team kind of fit that player in a way, right? Because if you still play McGlynn with Arthur and then have Bassi or Lingard, or you know, whenever he comes, and then Bassi like in front of him, you know.
I see your point, but I think Ben is a system guy, right? That's where the whole Benny Bowl comes from as well.
But what is the system?
Well,
you know what I mean? Is it just having possession and defending? Because that's a system,
right?
But the system doesn't have to be positioning. Like I feel like those can be separate. Like in the way that you set up your players on the field could be a system in a way, right? And then you have a style of play. I think Benny Ball is a style of play in the sense like we're gonna possess. When we turn over the ball, we're gonna go get it. You know, Guardiola type-esque, right? Like we want the ball. We want the ball because obviously if you have the ball, you can attack more, right?
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, but at the end of the day, we see it in other positions. I mean, this dude Ben keeps putting like stairs to play left back when he had never played as a fullback.
No, but he does that, but he doesn't break the position shape.
No, for sure.
He just breaks the
it's
position.
Still not necessarily paid to their strengths, right? Because you also have Franco playing as a left back,
and that's weird.
Yeah,
but if you're gonna have McGlynn and McGlynn be your DP, you know, because he's not a DP, right?
No,
he's a U22. Yeah. But I mean, McGlynn is literally another DP, right? He technically should grow into a DP role, in the sense that we're hyping up to what he's potentially supposed to be, right? He's gonna be DP quality player. The reason he's not a DP is because he's American, and you rarely see American DPs, right? Yeah. Because
unless you're Dallas and you do Jesus Ferreira and just shoot.
But if this Houston Dynamo could literally build a team around McGlynn and maybe Lingard whenever he comes in, and expecting to what he's gonna play. Right now we're just going by highlights and what Joey has on his FM, but like we still have to see what he can bring to the table. But I think you could build a Houston Dynamo around McGlynn as a 10 and then Lingard on the other side.
I didn't want to get too far away because I feel like we're on the general aspect of it. But I just to kind of close out this specific game against LAFC, and we're trying to see if we can get a new segment out here kind of happening, probably get it sponsored as well, but it's going to be called the Standout and the Letdown. I don't want a lot of Aliu hate at this point. He barely plays, Christian.
No, not today.
Not today. And actually, if you look at his stats just real quickly, like he had better stats, Aliu, in those minutes that he played than Griffin Dorsey in the whole game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he touched 2 balls, but
but still, you just got to give a little bit of credit. But what's funny though is that when I saw Aliu in the end, where it was like at the last minutes of the game, and he like runs with the ball and just takes it over to the corner, and I'm like, how low was the bar for me with Aliu that I'm like celebrating that he did the right decision of trying to waste time over in the corner.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. I know Chris was like, oh, they brought it in just for that play.
They literally did.
That's fantastic run.
I also think Aliu coming in first was the wrong decision. I would have put Lodeiro because Lodeiro can control the ball and hold the ball longer and waste more seconds. But I understand
bring in Aliu. When the LAFC changed, they put in I think like 4 or 5 starters.
Yeah.
It was okay, you're not gonna just do your thing. Aliu is there for speed or a breakaway, which obviously never happened except for that one play. But we'll keep this united here in the sense of like, I'll let Edson, you pick the standout, which I think it's probably going to be McGlynn, and that's where I was going. I mean, he probably had like the best game apart from the ratings that FubMob gives out. The guy was pretty solid, right? I think he did come out towards the end. I can't remember if it was like the 88th minute or something like that.
He went on the 90th.
Yeah, it was like for a standing ovation just for scoring a goal. That was legit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that he played, again, a very good game apart from the goal. I mean, looking at the stats, it looks like he completed 88% of his passes. He had 4 shots, 2 that went to goal, and I think one of them was in the first half that Lloris made a save on. But other than that, the other 2 went wide or blocked. But yeah, again, I feel like he probably was the best one. I don't know if Edson, you agree or disagree with that, or if you have somebody else in mind, and then we'll let Chris do the letdown.
I mean, you already mentioned Jack McGlynn, so I'm just gonna give a huge shout out to Junior Urso. Actually,
100%.
I thought he was good. I thought he was good for this game. I mean, McGlynn is obviously did a splendid game. I think against LAFC, but you also have to give a huge shout out because I think it kind of flows under the radar a little.
I love his defending, man. He's like
Urso.
peanut butter and jelly, like he's on you.
Yeah, definitely. And so yeah, from a standout, I'm gonna go with Junior Urso.
And Urso gives the freedom to Jack to attack. So
Absolutely.
you it's like you can't have one without the other type thing.
Which is funny, right? Because for the longest time, you just needed Arthur to help Hector Herrera. Clearly, now you need 2 guys to be shields in the current, roster. And again, time will tell with the new DP10, kind of how they develop that. And I know Ben had mentioned that they're trying to get him ready for this game against LA Galaxy coming up, or the Colorado Rapids game in 2 weeks from now. But Chris, who would be your letdown?
I think it's been a couple of weeks now, but I would say Bossy maybe.
Thank you. I don't want to be the hater of myself.
It's because some people would say Kowalczyk, but I feel like Kowalczyk puts a little bit of more heart to it. I don't know. He's always running and kind of chasing the ball around. He's also not the greatest threat either. But I think Bossy is one of those guys that just kind of like at points he just kind of disappears, and you're like, are we playing with 10 or type thing? But I mean, not to bash, but it's true though. Like it just happens sometimes. Like teams or games have players that just do not stand out for that reason, right? It could have been that Jack McGlynn had the ball more, or the ball kind of went through that side a little bit more than it does when he's not there. So Bossy was kind of like the ghost. Yeah. So I would say him.
Yeah, that's a good shout out. And some people are talking about like I saw Gillingham didn't make the team of the week. Yeah, so there was two teams or 2 players make team of the week. Jack McGlynn was on the bench, and Griffin Dorsey got the start out of that team of the match day. Well deserved. I think McGlynn got a goal. Usually, if you score a goal and you play well, you get to be on that starting 11. Maybe he got snubbed on that. Dorsey played well, but even like Gedson says, I think Dorsey can get lost, at times. I wish he was definitely more clinical when it came to crossing into the box, which he does. He does plenty of that, but there's just no one really attacking the box to help him kind of find somebody, man. You just need somebody to stick a leg out.
I think it's also because if you look statistics wise only, I mean, yeah, he might have a lot of like duels lost, but the fact of the matter is that the attack basically runs on Dorsey out there.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Obviously he has with the more opportunities to duel against somebody else, the more probabilities that he's going to be losing some battles as well. So, but the fact is, with Ben's system, Dorsey is the machine of that of that attack. So obviously he's going to be more exposed to duels out there with especially when you got a defense that was as hunkered down as LAFC, like, because it was not until after McGlynn scored the goal where LAFC remembered that they can attack too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
100%.
Yeah, no, and again, obviously, other key things was finally getting Zvichenko healthy. He's looking like himself, and he's definitely needed. Femi continues to play well. At this point, with the incorporation of Pablo Ortiz, which he posted a video, looks like he's still not even in Houston yet. Obviously, still waiting all that paperwork, jambalaya kind of happening, but. Yeah, it's one of those that it's good to see some of those players kind of finally get healthy. And yes, Blake had a really good game. He had a couple of good saves. I mean, I don't know how he does it. He pulled some good tricks out of his hat this match one more time. And you guys mentioned about why wasn't he a part of the match? I feel like Clark did that so much more, and he never really got a lot of notice as well. And so. I think their goalkeepers are kind of used to it. I mean, there can only be one or two at this point. But, no, overall, I think it was a good game. I mean, yes, it's a 1-0 game. I'm glad people went to the game. Even with the rained out, we were able to give out tickets for that match. And the winner was able to make it out there. It looks like they had a good time. And you get to go see the Dynamo win, which they hadn't done that. So, at this rate, I'm not going to be showing up to the stadium anymore. But you know what? I said that, and I forgot. I wasn't there for the Real Salt Lake game either. So maybe it wasn't me. Maybe it was you, Chris. You needed to be there.
Yeah. Maybe. Well,
That's
yeah.
the math.
But then I did go to the Dallas game as a fan. So maybe I just have to be inside of the press box.
Yeah. You have to ask the tough questions to Vin Olsen. That's what it is.
So just one more quick question before we move on to the next, because I know there's been a lot of talk about Blake Gillingham, and I've been noticing a lot of comments saying about a potential another goalkeeper that they might try and get. I've seen already a couple of comments saying like, why when we already have Blake Gillingham? Thoughts?
Yeah, there's only one goalkeeper in the roster currently, so you need to bring a couple more guys. Jimmy Moore, should be healthy, but that still makes two, and you need a third string for sure. So whether it be Gillingham still starting, I'm okay with that. He's played well. You can't necessarily just move him away if the kid is playing well, and the team has confidence in him. Perfect, but yeah, bring somebody else. I think it was Bond is the last name. Is it Jonathan Bond? I think the goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm. LA Galaxy keeper.
Yes, I mean. Jonathan, James Bond, whoever they want to bring over here, get some competition.
Exactly.
You need that. You need that, especially with a rookie goalkeeper. I mean, yes, he's been good at this point. He's going to
learn a lot from him too.
Yeah, I was like, he's obviously still spent the preseason with Andrew Tarbell and Jimmy Moore, but with this guy's being injured, you need somebody else to bring competition. And I mean, Pedro Cruz has been pretty good from what we've seen, definitely with Dynamo too. But there's just so many times that you can bring him and pick up players. It's important to. There's about 2 weeks left before the transfer window closes, so they need to hurry up and stack up as many players as they can, just because injuries, no matter what, are going to pile up for sure. But let's move into the next game, guys. LA Galaxy. I don't know what the hell's happening to the Galaxy, but it's good to see. Hopefully this is not a redemption game here for them on week number 8.
Dynamo levanta muertos.
Exactly. You know exactly what. That's the whole.
As
point,
a Tigres fan, I can. I've seen that happen too many times.
Yeah, so April 12th is this game. It's a very late game, 9:30 p.m. Central Time. So this road, can the team keep the momentum here? I mean, they have found success against Galaxy, but as Edson says, man, I mean, there's just so much they can lose. I mean, it's either stats or their form. Obviously, they lost at home against Orlando City. They drew 0-0 to Tigres in CONCACAF Champions Cup. Lost to Salt Lake 2-0 in an away game, which they heavily rotated the slim starting 11 that they have. and they got obviously beat there. And then they completely forgot that they were playing again. I was like, oh, no, they already played Tigres. Yeah, they play tomorrow. They'll be playing in Tigres Stadium. 8:30 p.m. I believe is what that thing says. And then, for Champions Cup. So that helps the Dynamo at the end of the day. I mean, clearly LAFC also played midweek and was expecting to play against Inter Miami, which, you're playing against Galaxy Tigres. You still have a chance, right? So you hope that they go out, put their best team against Tigres, and are tired as hell for a Saturday game against the Dynamo. But that is yet to see. Obviously, they're piling up a lot of injuries. Finally got Painsil back. Ricky Puig is still out with the ACL. But apart from the injuries, they being the Galaxy changed and let go of a lot of their team, their players. I mean, it's literally, if you look at the starting lineup from the it's not even close. I mean, they got rid of Brugman. They got rid of there's Richards. I can't think of one. Their center backs. I mean, they have a lot of players that they're gone and no longer with the team, and you can see how they're struggling. Marcos Bruce is still there, but he barely does much at this point.
Yeah, because they also lost their main striker, no?
They did lose their main striker to Kansas City, took them. They got Christian Ramirez. Everybody knows that guy from his time in Houston. But yeah, he's the only striker they got. But so their form is not that great. Here is the lineup that they used on Saturday. They had McCarthy, Miller, Garces. I mean, you look at this lineup, it's nothing what they tend to play as of right. Obviously, they have their captain as a Yoshida, the Japanese center back. He's not there. They are playing Pencil just so he can get in form after missing so much time. But again, the Dynamo lost against RSL. They lost against RSL. Find some common ground here. And as far of the predicted starting lineup for the Dynamo, I assume it's going to be very similar. I think it's very common to see Ben Olsen restart the winning lineup or a successful lineup. So would not be surprised if we see the same lineup against Galaxy here. But guys, as we get into the prediction aspect of it, Edson, just hit us with your prediction, man, for this game against Galaxy. Positive, negative, 0-0 draw. What are the chances here, man?
Well, I mean, they're gonna have a lot of fatigue from just the trip to Monterrey, and then however Tigres decides. Yes.
Question for you. Does the game go into extra time or penalties, or how does it go?
Yes, they do. If it also ends 0-0, then it's going to go into extra time.
Okay.
So the majority of the possible results actually favor LA Galaxy, right? As long as they score. But if Tigres will have to win.
Good.
Yeah, they have to win. And so, but depending on how Tigres plays them, how they fatigue them, because Tigres is another, like I said, is another team that loves to play possession style, right? And they're gonna try and have Galaxy running behind the ball. They're losing a lot of key players. So I want to see them a little bit confident, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, we're gonna beat LA Galaxy 5-0. I think I'm gonna go with a 2-1.
I agree. I'm with you. I think 2-1 is it's gonna be my prediction as well. I think they can get points in Galaxy. Yes, we know there is some sort of rivalry there between the two clubs just because they tend to always play in important matches. But this is when you take advantage. I think you have to build up on this win against LAFC, which there's no denying they're one of the better teams in the league. They're always competing. They're in every competition, fighting it out. Now, do they lose finals? Yes, they do. But at the end of the day, they're contending everything that they're a part of. So if you can build up on this, and I can definitely see them getting result in Galaxy. Chris, be the pessimistic, man.
You want me to be pessimistic? Nah, I actually can't. I think it's gonna go very well for the Dynamo in this game. I don't know. I just feel like the poor form, and then it might be a poor game for Galaxy against Tigres. I don't know. I don't see them picking themselves up anytime soon. But I'm thinking multiple goals for the first time for the Dynamo, going into the divination, and multiple goal scorers. So I'm gonna say a minimum of 2-0, and hopefully, 2-0. Multiple. I think Jack McGlynn, if they as I say, equipo que gana, equipo repite, or something like that, or whatever the saying goes.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, same starting 11. Hopefully, more freedom from Jack. Hopefully, a little bit more freedom, or maybe a little bit of better service for Ponce.
Stop yawning, Chris. You're making everybody fall asleep, bro.
I haven't slept in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Like, I'm super tired.
Kid number,
My bad,
kid number
dog.
6 on the way.
My bad, dog. But yeah, no, multiple goals win for the Dynamo, 2-0.
I feel like you already used this prediction. I guess you have to tell us who scored those goals. Just say who scored the goals then at this point.
Well, in this one, Ponce McGlynn. Ponce McGlynn
all right.
duo. Yeah.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Let's finish this episode just talking a little bit of Dynamo 2. You guys will have a Tuesday coming out tomorrow. As Chris continues to John and it hits me as well. I got you, man. My bad. But Dynamo 2. I mean, this is great pictures, man, from Aldo. We have a great team of photographers as well. Obviously, Aldo, Ricky. Shout out to him. Shout out to Gustavo. Shout out to Omar. If you're interested, we do get a lot of inquiries about being photographers. Send it our way. I'm not necessarily saying we're looking, but if you're interested, I possibly would love to shoot Dynamo 2. Be our guy to do it, our girl to do it. We'll, let us know. We'll see what we can do, because that's the guys that we really need to cover, and we don't want to stretch Aldo and Ricky all the time to those games. So if you're interested, you think you can shoot some pics, let us know. And don't come out with a Kodak. Yeah, I was gonna say, don't come out with like what are the disposable cameras, right? Yeah, no.
Well, that's a trend nowadays, ain't it?
It really is.
Like those film cameras and stuff.
Yeah, you put it
these
Polaroids and all kinds of. My daughter has one. I don't even know who gave her one. She has one that prints out like a copy and it's like black and white. And I'm like, they're funny. Taking pictures of like random stuff, and I'm like, for God's sakes, what are you guys doing?
Why do we have a picture of the fridge, bro?
Right, exactly. You should, man. Yeah, it's crazy. But same thing. The LAFC. I should put a 2 there, but it was gonna look funny. LAFC series against frauds. Dynamo teams worked out in Houston's favor. 1-0 as well here. Diego scores another goal. I believe that's his 3rd of the season. And similar to a goal that was scored by Sebastián Rodriguez. It was kind of like a little mismatch, little mirror, and then the goalie gave it right to him, and he shot it in. So good for the guys. I mean, obviously you want them to win, but as we've heard, their head coach Marcelo Santos mentioned plenty of times, it's not about winning, it's about developing. And you know what? If you look at the academy, you see how many kids are getting pumped into national teams, youth national teams. It's really good. So, for the longest time, the academy was a mess, and it seems to finally kind of getting right. And I mean, not necessarily know who to give props to, because there have been, maybe a Todd Ramos that had a little bit of his hand in it, and so forth.
Any Bundy.
So forth. So, yeah, exactly. A lot of those guys had been through. Hurdle was the other guy as well that was with the academy for a long time, and Jeremy Huddle. And so they are actually not playing for about a week and a half, 10 days. They'll be playing in Vancouver. Their next matchup, April 23rd. I didn't even see when that falls on. I'm going to say it's a Sunday. Probably not.
Yeah,
No, it's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a midweek game.
And so it'll be 8 p.m. Central Time, which is not super late for a weekday. You know, they're playing pretty early over there, I guess.
Yeah.
6 o'clock game over there. That's it. That's all the slice we got for you guys. Anything that we miss, Edson, that you want to mention on? Man, we're doing good time, man. We're just hit an hour.
You're muted or something because we can't hear you.
Sorry, it's because I put the game on my on my phone. But no, I think that should be it for this episode, man. I think we covered most.
Man. Look at us. It wasn't a 0-0 draw, and we had less to talk about.
Yeah, right.
I feel like we hit every topic.
When you win, you know, there's kind of less things to kind of pinpoint.
Less frustration, huh?
There's some things that, you know, there's questions still, right? Like who's going to play that left wing? I mean, we can go into it, but I mean, I think the winning part of it does decrease the level of frustrations, not only for us, but the fans and everybody that kind of watches this team. But yeah, I mean, as somebody said, Jay Without said, Dynamo Dos is also very important. There's a lot of young kids. Something that came to mind watching this game was about how Urso obviously is 36. You know, he's not gonna play forever. He played a beautiful game, but you know, when you start looking about, you know, what about, you know, Brooklyn Reigns? Can he play that position? And what about Sebastian Rodriguez? Can he play that position? Because Sebastian Rodriguez is a little bit more defensive minded than Brooklyn is.
I'm a big fan of Sebastian Rodriguez. I mean, he's 16, 17.
I saw him play live.
Yeah, I remember
this guy.
Because he started, this is, I believe, it's
a couple years back. Yeah.
Second year with Dynamo.
No, this is
third year. Third year with Dynamo too. And when we looked at him, I'm thinking it was like 14, 15, and I was like, man, this kid can play, you know?
Yeah.
And it's one of those that he's been playing with the Mexican national teams, and he's a baller. I think, you know, they keep playing him. I expect big things from him if he can continue to grow and develop. We're not going to put a ton of pressure of the kid at the end of the day, but hopefully, you know, he's one of those guys that, and then there's players like DeMorelli. That kid is 15. He's good.
I saw him in person. And I was like, I mean, he is 15, and I was like, this kid is an actual kid. Like, you look at him, you're like, bro, you're a child.
Yeah.
But they play like, you know.
Well, in the inverse of that, it's good to see other players that are, you know, a little bit more seasoned, like Gabe Siegel get playing time, Holiday get playing time. Obviously, Pedro Cruz kind of important right now as the current backup. So it's good to see guys get some development. And I don't think, I mean, honestly, we never heard anything from the guy that they drafted. And what was the guy's name? Bo. Can't think of his last name. Anyways.
Bo Jackson.
I wish, man. He was a beast. But anyways, I mean, you hope that the development obviously continues all in-house, right? With all this Houstonian kids or kids that they come and play pretty early. But man, this game is not looking good here so far, huh?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to call it quits before it ends at this point because everybody's gonna blame it on us. Yeah, that's another foul. That's not good. All right, guys. Chris, anything? Can you tell people how they can connect with us, my friend?
Yes, Bayou City Soccer, BayouCitySoccer.net, X, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, everywhere. YouTube. We'll go check it out, and hopefully this game ends well. At BayouCitySoccer.net.
Yeah, make sure that Chris mentioned about streaming 3 times a week.
Yes.
Yep. On Wednesday, you will have Orange and Blueprints hitting your airwaves one more time with Manny and Diego Martinez. They have done a very good job. I do want to hop on one of those episodes, or probably not this week, but next week I'm gonna do my best because you know people may say like, "But you don't watch the I actually do. I haven't missed a game yet, so I've been trying to watch, and I'm planning to make it to this game on Saturday, which is a 4 p.m. Game. I told my wife, "Yeah, man, let's go." Let's take the kids. And she was like, oh, but they want to watch Minecraft movie. And I'm like, we can't do both. So pick one. And of course, my kid said Minecraft movie. So clearly, I'm gonna go by myself and cover the game. So that it's fine.
There you go.
I like it. It works out. But yeah, so keep an eye on that show. Obviously, I know that there's a lot of people that listen for the dash, and as we mentioned before, we felt like talking 15, 20 minutes wasn't giving all its flowers as it needs to be, especially with the season looking very different than we were used to. So check out Orange and Blueprints on Wednesday. And then Thursdays, you'll get myself. Chris was there last week, which was fantastic, man. Great episode. And David is back from his trip from Argentina. And we'll be back with Movimiento Naranja on Thursday as well. So, Edson, thanks again, man, for joining us. Always happy to have you here. Another Denny Hamlin win, so that's always a good thing for us, dude. Who doesn't want to see him become a champion, huh? Come on.
Apparently, like 60% of the NASCAR fan base. No, so honestly, like I'm not like I like Denny Hamlin now, but obviously my two main guys, Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, number one, my Daniel Suarez. Trackhouse has just been terrible. Yeah. Like they've qualified like almost like 35th, 30, like around there, and they managed to make up with all of that. But it's one of those things where it's like what the hell is going on? Like, get things better. We shouldn't have to be starting from the very back just to try to salvage something. So
like people are like, why are you talking NASCAR? You just gotta watch it. Honestly, I'm not as probably I'm not as a fan as Edson is. I can see like he knows way more than I do. I just keep up with like one team and Denny because he owns that team, which is 2311.
Yeah.
But I was gonna ask you, I know you're going to another race like in Charlotte, but have you been to the one in Dallas?
Yes, I went to back in 2022, I want to say. Yeah. 2022 I went to Texas Motor Speedway. There it was actually on my birthday, and I got Daniel Suarez to sign my flag that day.
Do you recommend it? Because I'm thinking I missed obviously the Austin one because of Lionel Messi, and Lionel Messi didn't show up. I was about to cuss, but I'm gonna try not to. And then I know the Dallas one is like early May, so like a month from now. Mm-hmm. I have no tickets. I have nothing set up, but I'm gonna see if I can make it out there just to see my first NASCAR race. So
the facilities are all
Florida
right.
won, by the way, so we killed enough time to see Florida beat U of H.
Come on.
Yeah.
Why is it always? A bunch of Florida men are going to be celebrating tonight, I guess.
Yeah, clearly. Someone is going to get ate by an alligator somewhere.
Yeah. But honestly, like, you want me to be honest, like, I mean, the facilities are all right at Texas Motor Speedway. The racing right now with the next gen is really not that great.
Okay.
I know when I went, it was just like just a bunch of like blown tires and things like that.
I wouldn't be mad at seeing cars crashing, to be honest, but I mean, like, legit, and I know it happens more like in Austin, obviously, because of the track style as well, but that's why I kind of want to go to the Chicago one. I see that Chicago, like, everybody just accordions
BCS after dark.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, shout out, guys. Thank you again for joining us. Pick a team, 2311. Stanhouse, whoever. I mean, what is it?
Trackhouse.
When does Ricky Bobby race?
Bro, that I've heard. There's who was the one that said there's a racer that said like Ricky Bobby is not a movie, it's a documentary, like a real life documentary.
No, it wasn't. I think that was Cletus McFarland.
I can't remember
the YouTuber.
Who. Yeah,
because he ran the ARCA race at Daytona. Oh, and he crashed out. Well, they crashed him out, and part of the interview was that like he was talking about it's a documentary and stuff like that. But it was pretty fun, to be honest.
Yeah. Chris, you have Netflix. Go look for there's a documentary there. It's better than one, bro. It's better. I'm telling you.
Oh, and there's also rumors that there might be a separate or there might be a reboot of what's it called? Days of Thunder.
Ooh, okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, Chris is just like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
What's happening? All right, man. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks, obviously, everybody that comments, Jay Hurtado, Rushan, Mr. Tobar, Nemo, all the good people. I know that people are probably crying right now that U of H lost, and they probably just watched the game, as me. Yeah, watching it. I'm not going to cry, though. But y'all take care. We'll see you next Monday. Peace.